Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing this simulation tutorial. I've been diving deeper into it and having a lot of fun. I learned some new tricks I want to share with you guys. That way all of my blood, sweat, and tears can be things you don't have to suffer through. So let's jump right into it. So we're going to go to geometry nodes, a new scene, and we're going to be doing a simulation with a point. So we're going to do a simulation zone right here, pipe that in, and then we're going to do a point. And then we're going to do a set position to offset it. And we're also going to join it with the previous step right here outside the system, popping it in there. Fantastic. And then we're going to have a random value be the noise for it. So let's check random value. Let's make sure it's a vector. Let's just do -1. Nice. Now let's just see what happens. Cool. All of the points are exploding out as we would expect to see. It's all moving in the same exact direction, and that's because the seed value here is not changing. So let's change that with a scene time, and let's use the frame number. And now let's see what happens. Great. Now we're having all these points kind of explode up in this direction. That's because it's going from -1 to 1. And then on the Z axis, it's just going from 0 to 1, which means it's going to go up in general. Fantastic. I'm happy with this noise. It looks good. We can move on to the next part. Okay, so we have all of these points coming through. We want to have trails for them. So basically the idea is every frame a new point is spawning. So basically what this is saying is we have one point here, it's coming in, one's being displaced, one's coming in exactly at the beginning, which is at the 0, 0 mark right here. So that's kind of what's happening. So every single frame we're getting a new point. We're at 53 points into the simulation. So it's 54. Let's also change the start point to 0, just to make it even easier to see. Let's rerun it. Now we're at 24 frames. We're seeing 26 because it's going from, 0, 1, 2, 3, whatever, 26, or 24. But we're getting 2 points at the very beginning. We're getting a point here and here. So that's double points at frame 0. So let's skip the very first frame of the animation to clean that up. So we're going to do a scene time, and at the frame, and we're going to say equal to 0. We're skipping it. So let's watch this again. Boom. It's still running, but now our overall point count is different. So at frame 34, we're seeing 34 points. Why is that? Because we're expecting to see 35, right? But we're skipping the first 2 0 points on frame 0 to not calculate that. So that is important just to have clean, points and have expected behavior later on. This is kind of like a tiny little trick. I didn't realize how useful it was until I was kind of diving more deeper into all of this. So make sure to do the skip at the very first frame, especially when you're initializing like this, where we have at the very first frame 2 points coming in. Great. Now to make those trails, we're going to do a simulation zone. We're going to take in this again, and we're going to do a join geometry. Same idea, popping it in, and let's rerun it. Great. Now we're seeing particle trails of everything. Let's make these points a bit bigger so you guys can see. It's like 0.3 maybe. Rerun it. Cool. So every frame, a new point is being spawned down here, and then it's being moved some weird random noise through this. This is the random noise, and then it's being captured here, right? So that's kind of why we're able to get these particle trails. Particle trails are cool, but what's even cooler is getting curves and splines to make sure we have really clean data off of that. I love splines because we have factors and all sorts of things that make up splines to make it really easy to animate and kind of work with and kind of remesh. So let's turn these into splines. So if we do points to curves here, you might think it'll just magically work. Let's find out. No, it explodes. Why is that? It's because this curve group ID, this value here, is kind of messed up. It doesn't know what we want to have here. So we got to make sure we can fix this with a unique ID for every single point as it's coming in, so it's fresh, new, and correct. So let's make that unique ID at the very, very beginning before we do anything. So back here, all the way back here. So let's just look at all this again really quick. So we got to go all the way back here and do unique ID, right? That's what we're going to do. We're going to make sure we do that. So let's do it right now. So we're going to do a store named attribute, and we're going to say unique curve ID. Fantastic. What are we going to use? We're going to use the scene time, the frame value. The frame value coming in is going to basically be a way of we know the exact spawn time for it. So it will always be unique. It will always work, and it should work really well. So let's just see what happens if we go over here and say named attribute, Control C, Control V, pipe it in here. Let's rerun it. And now we're getting all of these curves working perfectly. So now it's working, right? We have a unique ID for each of these splines working and piping correctly and having it make sense. Okay, so let's see what happens if we increase the number of points spawned on frame 1. Will it still work? Let's find out. Let's do 4 points. No, it explodes again. Why is that? Let's look at this. That means for every single point right here, we're getting 4 of the same exact, air quotes, unique IDs. So how can we work around this? Let's just add a value to offset this. So if we do math right here, and we add something, let's say like the index, it should work. But before we pull it in, let's make it an order of magnitude bigger. Let's say it's, I don't know, 10,000 or 100,000. So let's multiply these, we pipe it in, and let's run it. So now we're seeing that we're getting unique values across all of them. So rather than having it be 1, we're now able to have it for every single indexed value, a unique value, as we're seeing right here, right? So let's look at this again and see if it works. Nice. We're seeing all of the curves work. It's displacing correctly. Everything looks fantastic and beautiful. So irrespective of the number of starting points we have here, it will now work. We're able to do that again with this kind of ID / like index math. I guess we also could just do the set ID parameter here, but I kind of like having it exposed so it's easier to track. So we have this unique ID coming through. If we increase the number, we have more, and it's going from 0 to 6. It's all working. And we're also just skipping that very first one, so we're not repeating it. Nice. So I'm really happy with that. Now the curves are working. Fantastic. So what we want to do next is we're going to want to add age values for all of these things to make sure we can have some more animation qualities and we're going to add age values to these to make sure we can use this in the shader editor as well as kind of animate the flow of these curves that we're making right now. But let's clean this up a little bit. I'm going to grab all of this and do Control G, and I'm going to call this like unique ID group, whatever. Good enough. That's coming in. And then let's add a age. So we're going to do a store named attribute. We're going to call this age. Let's call it age 1 to make it really clear. Piping in here, and we're going to do the same thing. So named attribute, Control C, Control V, pipe this in, a math value, plug in a 1. And now let's watch this over time, rerun it, and we're seeing as it goes through, I guess we're still having 7 points. Let's lower it down to like 1. So as it goes through, we're seeing that these curve IDs are being assigned correctly, which is good. And we also have the age values for all the piping through. Fantastic. So what we can do right here is take this set of nodes, Shift D to duplicate it. Let's pipe it in over here as well. So we're going to take this, pipe it in here, and let's call this age 2. If I can type age 2, pipe this in, Shift D before it branches. It's very important. Before it branches, we have a go. Now we have age 2 as well. So let's see what happens. Running it, we have age 2 going, perfect, and age 1, and they are separate and independent. Very cool. So before we have the points to curves, let's do some delete geometry just to kind of add some ways of segmenting it. So we're going to take the named attribute. Let's say age 1. Also, this right here should be age 2. There we go. Age 2, age 2, age 2, age 1, age 1, age 1. Perfect. So we're going to rerun this to get the data. And then we're going to delete based off of greater than, let's say, 30. So points only last 30 frames. Now let's look at this. Is it not running? Not exists. We want the actual attribute. There we go. Nice. So it stops there. Perfect. It gives us an overall maximum height for our system. And we're going to do the same thing with age 2. Let's make it lower. Let's just say 10. Now let's see what happens. As we look and have it go through, we should be seeing, age 2. There we go. Age 2. There we go. As it goes through, they are kind of having these little particle trails, almost like a fire or something. You're seeing it kind of cut and be deleted and move through. So everything kind of eventually dies. Fantastic. Now let's check the curves to make sure the curves are still behaving as we would expect to see. And it looks like they are. They're going out, aging out, and then dying. Cool. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do a mesh to curves or curves to mesh. Curve circle, pipe this in, fill it, and then we're also going to do a spline parameter. Take this factor, plug it into the scale, maybe even a resample curve, or set spline type. Let's do like cat mill romp, a bit more smooth. Nice. So we have extra sampling by changing the spline type right here. And then we're going to want to use this factor with a float curve in order to change the shape of these puppies for however we want. So just starting off, let's just do this and here. So then now as we watch them, they should do kind of a little dance. It's looking nice. But also too, the age value should probably come into play here with how these are shaped and working. So let's do a math node. Let's multiply it by a named attribute. Let's just try age 1, see what happens. This is huge. Let's think about this. The younger they age, the bigger we want it to be. So probably want to do a math node and do divide. So it's 1 over it. How is that one? I would say we should probably, this should be multiplied. There we go. So now they're kind of trailing out, starting off big and trailing out. This isn't working exactly how I wanted, so I could increase this to change it or decrease. I think 1 is fine here. Let's try age 2 instead, actually, and see how that looks. It's looking pretty good. It's kind of this streamer effect. I'm happy with the age 2 value, actually. I think it looks nice. So let's set a material. Let's go into the shader editor. Here we are in the shader editor. And let's pull in those values. So we have attributes, age 1, age 2. Oops. So we have this as a value, which is nice, and this is a value, which is also nice. Okay, so we know that for them, we have different map ranges for the overall max value. So from here, we know it's going from 0 to 30. So we have this kind of gradient. This we know is going from 0 to 10. We have this gradient here. Cool. So with the animation, let's add a dope sheet so we can see it. We don't have a dope sheet. How do we have these keyframes? What is this for? I made some annotations by accident. Let's just delete them. Delete. So we look at this. I think I might change, rather than a curved circle, let's do a star. Set shade smooth. So let's just do a quick shade auto smooth hack right here. So we're gonna do the edge and then the face, and this is like a classic way of getting it to work out for us. So we're gonna do an edge angle node right here. We're gonna do a greater than, and we're gonna do a math node, and we're gonna say 2 radians. Let's say like 30 degrees. Pipe this in, and it should work. I guess it's here. Boom. So we moved this, and now we have our little shade auto smooth inside our geometry node system. So we have our nice little diamond shape, which looks good. Now let's keep on working on the shader. So we have this coming in. I think that looks nice. So let's take this one as here. Yeah, it's kind of nice. So let's just do here. Let's pipe this in here. Let's do a color ramp. I don't know, what's a fun color we can do? Let's do, I feel like fire colors. We should have this be like a blue, maybe like a red. That looks like pretty nice. Maybe increase the whiteness a little bit. Okay. And then let's add this in with a mix color of this. And I guess this is the factor. And then let's do a lighten, I guess. See how that works. And let's just do, we want this to actually darken it a little bit. So maybe do darken. Nice. I'm just trying different blend modes right here to find something I like. Let's try color dodge. It looks okay. Our trailing guys are going everywhere. And then for color ramp here. And if we take this, I guess if we plug this into the alpha, we swap it, something like this, where the absolute tips will then slowly fade. Cool, I kind of like that. It's a bit smoky. And then I'm gonna add subsurface, smash it up, ray tracing, increase the scale. And yeah, that's basically the basic material. I'm quite happy with it. And if we add a mesh, plane, scale 20, grab Z, pull it down, then we can just play with the lighting like this. As it would move, we kind of have this dynamic streamer effect, which looks good. Let's actually make the shading roughness way down, so it's way more reflective, and maybe even pull back in the subsurface a little bit. Let's make it like 2. This looks way better. Cool. And we can just play with this, and we have a nice kind of fun way of having this kind of streamer effect, and it's going off. Yeah, this is the basic tutorial. I think I'm gonna end it here. We render it out and then just kind of play with this overall settings. I hope you guys found this interesting, and I hope you guys found this helpful. It was a lot of fun kind of working with it. Thanks so much.
Augury.